Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. My name is Pete Marsh. I'm one of the 4 co-hosts of CCL's Electrification Action Team. My other co-hosts will wave, Mark Friedman, Jay Bassett, and Michael Metzner. Thanks so much, everybody. And we're delighted tonight to have as our guest presenter, Ruth Yow from Georgia Tech. Ruthie, thank you so much. A couple of quick notes before we hand the baton to Ruthie, but let's see, Ruthie, if you wouldn't mind going ahead and sharing the presentation, I will use slide 2 for a couple of quick notes about what's coming up in our action team. Ruthie, you do not have nearly enough tabs open. Man, I thought I was bad. So if you could go to slide 2, that would be awesome. So meanwhile, everybody, I dropped a welcome note into the chat, so please feel free to introduce yourselves. We'd love to have your email address so we can follow up with notes and action items. And again, just a quick note on what we have coming up for the Electrification Action Team. This is workshop number 4 in our series of 6. So we're past hump week. We're past the halfway mark, but 3 weeks from now, June 17th, we'll have workshop 5 on power mapping, which is a complementary group facilitation technique to what Ruthie will be teaching us about tonight, and used for helping to identify who to engage with in your local communities. And then workshop 6 on June 24th will be coalition building in the real world. And that's going to be interviews with some CCL chapters and members around the country who are already doing great stuff. And finally, in between those, between now and those 2 is our national conference. And just quick show of hands, how many folks are going to be at the national conference? I will, and Jay Bassett will. Anybody else? Not, okay, I didn't expand all my view. Okay, so, and at the national conference, we're going to have a breakout session. We'll have a 1-hour interactive discussion around Electrification Action Team, and especially focusing on what this series of workshops has been doing for engagement and coalition building in our communities. We'll be tabling like other action teams at the Action Team Fair, and hopefully we'll have a dinner for all of our members. And we're still trying to confirm that we can find a restaurant with an all-electric kitchen, which we would love to do. Okay, so that's what's happening next. And let's see, with that, I think we'll simply, I'll introduce this afternoon's workshop very briefly, and then Ruthie can take it away. As you'll remember, our previous workshops have been around the approach that various CCL chapters are taking to engaging and building coalitions. And many times that is something short of creating your own new coalition. But that's sort of the ultimate means of engagement. But we've heard a lot about just chapters that are reaching out to a handful of other community groups or to electeds, that kind of thing. And this evening, Ruthie will teach us a little bit about structured communications, a method for facilitating and engaging members of your own group and other groups for really streamlined and effective joint decision making, which, as you know, probably from experience, can be really messy. And this is a way to help get small group discussions, get some ideas, and then prioritize them about what your group wants to be doing. And with that, Ruthie, why don't you go ahead?
Unmute. The wonders of this new technology, Zoom. I'm so glad to see y'all. And thanks, Mike and Mark, for being back in the mix. I'm sorry for the repeat content. And Jay, obviously, you know the content. It's a delight to be with y'all. I'm going to roll on through. Thank you so much, Pete, for the time. this kind of demo we're going to do together is a process that is part of a set of methods called technology of participation. And we're practicing something today, kind of getting our feet a little bit wet in a consensus workshop. I'm going to say this a couple of times, but we are not doing a real consensus workshop. They take between an hour and a half and 2 hours. So we're mocking it up and kind of jumping right through it so we can get a little familiarity with it. And then so that you all can email me and say, hey, Ruthie, I want you to do that thing with Ruth. That's my dream scenario. And y'all, I'm free. So please do. Let's jump in together. And then if you have, we're going to take a few minutes at the end for questions. And then I would love to work with your groups moving forward if this feels like a process that you want to try out. And Pete did the honors on this for me. This is, as I said, a method in technology participation. It focuses on shared agreement. And this is something, right, we all strive for and is essential to movement building. We can move kind of through the values of these processes. I think these are ones that you all either implicitly or explicitly express in your own organizing work. And this is a really useful process, y'all. There's all kinds of scenarios for it. And the question, the sort of demo focused question we're going to do today is one of a million that you could apply to this process. We're going to talk right now. We're contexting, right? We're discussing why we use this process, that it drives us toward shared agreement, that it helps us listen to each other, that it helps us lift up the most creative ideas and make sure that nobody is marginalized, that everybody feels heard in the process and not in a performative way, but really everybody is heard because it takes everybody's ideas to kind of get to the next level of your group's shared decision making. Our question, which I hope feels relevant to your work, and I think it is, Pete says it is how can we create action in our communities that leads to building electrification? A focus question is the question that guides the workshop. So that's what we're focused on throughout our 40-ish minutes. And the process has 6 stages, as y'all see at the bottom of this slide. Context, brainstorm, small group conversation, cluster, name, and next steps. We're really focused today on brainstorm, small group conversation, and cluster, because we are just demoing it. We're not taking our full, hour and a half or 2 hours, but we'll make sure we get a sense of what kinds of next steps you would want to emerge from this process. Sorry. So the first thing that we're going to do when we break out into groups, and this is going to be really nice because each group will have someone who's seen this before, at least seen these slides. So you will, once in your group, you will have silent brainstorm, trying to come up with, really you can do more than 2 to 3. There are enough people, right? You gauge your number of ideas generated to your number of people. So feel free to go for more like 5 ideas in your groups, using short words, not full-blown paragraphs, and then putting those ideas on the blue sticky notes. You'll see that slide in a second. The second step is discussing everybody's ideas, right? You've taken some time to think on your own. This is really critical. It feels maybe a little bit 4th grade, right? Where you all, right? We took some time to work alone and then we shared with our class. But it turns out that a lot of folks can't actually come up with all things that are brewing inside them if they're asked to just say ideas right away. Some people can. They're fast cookers. The slow cookers, we can't. So the silent brainstorm actually is essential. Once you have silently brainstormed and come back to come out of your silence, you look at what your other group members have contributed on their Post-it notes. Again, you'll see this in a second, and you talk about it. And you pick a few great ideas that you all feel like are reflective of your group's kind of best thinking. So the directions real quick are, you brainstorm on your own, you review your ideas together, and then you together select ideas to share with a big group. Okay, and the slides look like this. Okay, so as you silently brainstorm, you're taking note of your ideas on blue Post-it notes. Once you come back together to talk out of your silence, you're noting 3 to 5 ideas on the green Post-it notes. And often those can be sometimes very easy. It might be that all 3 people in the group had one idea in common. Clearly that goes on a green sticky, right? That's no need to subtly massage the consensus on that one. That idea goes right on the green sticky. But if Jay has a really different idea from Pete, and everybody thinks that those are both pretty evocative, then you would put Jay's idea and Pete's idea in green. Okay, so these aren't just what similarities do we have. These are, let's bring out the creativity of our small group. And you are striving for short phrases. When we get through this piece, I will help you cluster your ideas. And this creates buckets of work that are thematic. This is a real wonderful piece in the forward movement because it helps everybody be on the same page through this kind of visualization of clustering like ideas together or similar actions together. Are there questions so far, y'all? I'm sorry, I'm moving so fast. I want to make sure we're taking advantage of our time. Larry, welcome.
Hi.
And I want to make sure too, the Zoom, I'm sorry, the Google slide deck in the chat again. I can do that in a second, but it won't appear for folks who just come in. So we want to make sure we have it in the chat for everybody. You are, sorry, y'all, this is an important detail. You are going to be making your notes on these Post-it notes in this slide deck. So everybody needs to make sure they have editing access. Questions? How are we feeling about all that?
So Ruthie, should everyone be clicking the link that you sent out in the chat and editing there?
That's right. Everybody should be using this deck that I'm in right now. It's editable. So everybody should be clicking into, making sure that you can click into it. And watch, we'll make sure that we have it freshly. Yep. Sean, do you see it now? Great. Great. So, and if you want to, then you can head on over to one of these Post-it note slides and you can just type a little test text in there to make sure that you have power to edit the deck and make a note on the Post-it notes. Feel free to do that before we go into our breakout rooms. Other questions or concerns about what we're about to do? You're going to spend about 8 minutes in your breakout rooms before I check in on you.
And right, Ruthie, at first it's quiet time, so everyone just adds their notes. And then when we come back together, it's to pick the ones we want to push forward, right?
That's right, Jay. That's right. So we're taking
What are we on slide 15 then, or what do we do? Like,
yes, I will help y'all find the correct slide. Each group has a slide. So when we put you in breakout rooms, you'll see if you're in room 1 or 2 or 3. Right now I'm showing group 3 slide. I actually have it maximized so I can't see what number we are in the deck. But
so Ruth,
yeah, Jay.
Yeah, when you put us all in a room, we'll be in either 1, 2, or 3 group, and then there's a slide corresponding to each group. And then
That's
individuals start entering into whatever blue slides are available. And then that group will work together under that one page to group the ones they push forward. So there should be multiple people working in each of the assigned groups.
Yeah, that's right, Jay. And I'll delete 4 and 5 for now, at least, so they don't confuse us. But for example, let's say Laura and Larry and Jay are in a group and they're room 1. Okay, they know they're group 1, room 1, and they're going to go to this group 1 slide. They're going to take their 3 minutes of silent brainstorming. And what we hope is that at the end of 3 minutes, all of those blue Post-it notes are populated because they have poured ideas onto those blue Post-it notes. We're hoping that not all those ideas are Laura's. We hope that Jay and Larry got in there too, right? But we want to populate those blue Post-it notes. So then after 3 minutes, Laura and Larry and Jay are going to talk about what they see on those blue Post-it notes and identify 3 to 5 ideas that they want to move on to those green Post-it notes. And Jay is right. The 3 groups will be doing those activities simultaneously. How does that sound, y'all?
Ruthie,
Yes.
Will you let the groups know when the 3 minutes are up and they're transitioning to consensus building?
I sure can.
Okay.
Yes.
And then
Great.
each group should keep track of, they have about 7 minutes to consolidate onto the green notes.
That's right. Exactly. And I can give y'all some time checks in there. So you know when you have 3 minutes left and when you have 1 minute left, that kind of thing. If it's clear that really y'all need more time, everybody needs more time, we'll add a little more time. But yes, I can definitely help keep time that way. Any other questions? I'm gonna leave sharing now so that I can put y'all in groups. In the meantime, feel free to click all the way through the direction slides. And those are, like we said,
14.
is that where they start? I'm having
Once in
trouble.
your breakout room, it's slide 14.
Great, thank you so much, Jay. Perfect. And I'm gonna go ahead and put y'all in your, yeah, thank you. But for now, while I make these breakout rooms, if you want to go through slides 11 through 13, those are your detailed instructions that you can kind of get marinating. Okay, I'll do this as quick as I can.
Hey, Pete, while she's doing that, would you mind just, from, the building electrification as we lead to, action our communities on building electrification, just maybe your 5-second view of, really what is building electrification in the broader sense? Maybe get people start thinking.
Oh, you want me to do that in 5 seconds? Okay.
Well,
You
you
think
know.
I'm good. So yeah, in general, here's a quick synopsis. For a few decades, there's been a green building movement in the United States and around the world that's talked a lot about we need to do a lot of insulation, tighten up our building envelopes, and reduce air leakage, and make the machines in them as efficient as possible, because most of the machines doing heating and water heating have been gas fired. Now, in the last less than a decade, heat pumps have made it so that the conventional wisdom is turned upside down. It's no longer most efficient to heat and cool, water and air with gas, but rather with heat pumps. And heat pumps emit no on-site emissions and reduce emissions no matter what. And as the grid moves towards zero carbon, we result in zero carbon buildings. So the 4 major classes of machines in our buildings, both residential and commercial, are space heating, HVAC, which is furnaces and air conditioners, water heaters, laundry, and cooking. And cooking is an especially interesting one. The American Gas Association regards gas stoves as their gateway appliance. Literally, they've used that term. They want to, and they've worked very hard at 80 or 90 years worth of marketing to make an emotional attachment to gas stoves, which is very intuitive, but unfortunately extremely unhealthy. And so replacing gas stoves with electric is one of the huge health and environmental justice benefits. So that's is that a good introduction, Jay?
Yeah, I think so. And that, we're trying to look at this from, also as we're building capacity for building electrification, as building advocacy for the larger policy movements we're trying to push through the CCL policy pillars. So it's kind of melding those two together in your thoughts.
Yeah, I described the technical, what this session is really focused more on is, okay, we know the technology, who do we have to reach out to in our local city and regional and county governments to ask for policy to make that incentivized or mandated.
So y'all, I think I'm good for the rooms. Thank you, Jay and Pete, for the space for that. And I just learned something too about gas stoves. I have placed you in groups. Here we go. Don't worry, you don't have to remember it, but group 1, Alex, Gehendra, Jay, and Sylvia. Group 2, Larry, Laura, Mark, and William. Group 3, John, Michael, Sam, and Sean. And remember that you're using the slide associated with your group number, group 1, group 2, or group 3. So if that all feels good, then I'm going to open the rooms.
Okay.
Godspeed. Laura, it doesn't want to whisk you away, does it?
Oh,
I can see if I can move you to room 2. I'm clicking that button now. Whew.
Nice. Well done, Pete.
Wow, I vaporized her. If only I could do that to people who piss me off in other meetings. And you did not assign me to any.
Would you like to join a group?
I can, or we can see, you and I can take turns bouncing in and being timekeepers.
Well, you know, I think now that, oh, okay, let's,
We
hi,
have
Lynn.
someone joining. Hello, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, sorry, I just joined, so I'm not sure what we're doing in.
You're
Well,
okay.
we have a dozen other folks in breakout rooms, and if you like, we can tell you what they're up to and let you join one of the groups.
Sure.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah. So Lynn, we are practicing a little workshop method where you brainstorm together and then identify your best ideas and then do some work with those ideas. And your group will help you kind of process the directions. But right now, what they're doing is just silently brainstorming around the question, how do we create action in our communities that lead to building electrification?
Oh.
So do you feel okay about being moved into a group?
Sure.
Okay. Awesome. Off you go. I think this will be, it
Thank
looks like
you.
you're on your phone, but it should be fine.
Good. And I think, yeah, sending her to Jay's group makes a lot of sense. And Jay's got good flexibility.
Hey, Edgar.
No, Jay Bassett.
Don't. Oh, I know him too. I don't know. Try the. Oh, I think. Am I there now? I don't know. Try it again. I clicked join.
Okay.
Hmm.
Can you do it, Pete? You did that magic last time.
Let's see. So, when so she's shown as being in group 1 right now, and I have a button that says move, and I could move her to group 2 or group 3, but that's not what I want to do. So maybe I see it looks like you're on a cell phone and out somewhere, and I'm really grasping at straws here, but maybe there's a bandwidth or connectivity thing that's interfering. Oh, there she goes.
Oh,
No, she dropped completely because we still have 4, 4, and 4. Oh, now she's back and in group 3.
I went
I see
in for
you
a
back,
minute
and
and now I'm back in the meeting.
I've got
Now I'm
clear
back in the
video.
meeting.
I'm going to try moving you to group 1.
Okay, so I'm
See
going to
if you
click
have-
join.
Perfect. And Ruthie, I think the 3 minutes are probably up. So should you or I send a message? Do we do that using this broadcast button?
we can broadcast and we can say, let's say, take.
You're done talking to yourselves. Now talk to each other.
Yeah. let's look actually, Pete, real quick and see if we have any ideas on those Post-it notes. Not many. Oh, group 3,
All right, yeah.
Which slide are we working on?
We're working on 16.
16.
16 now does accept my input.
Yeah, so I accidentally, I clicked a Zoom room, not a slide. And then, oh, I should have clicked a slide. So, oh, wow. Yeah, look at group 1 is busy.
Yeah, it's group 2 that's lagging a little, but they've got some ideas going. I want everybody to have at least 8 ideas to work with. And I think they're getting there.
I think we're there. Oh no, group 2 is still, but there's several people typing. I see an anonymous dinosaur and an anonymous goose and jackal all doing stuff. When I poked my head in, group 2 was the meeting that I joined, and somebody was just asking a question about which slide to work on and that kind of thing. So maybe they are just getting going, but yeah. So I see quite a few ideas. Okay.
This is nice. So we've got, they give them, I think actually Zoom gives them whatever that 20-second warning is. Well, that's when we come back. Okay. All right. So we're going to say, please transition to group conversation now about the ideas on your blue Post-it notes. Okay, great. Yeah, everybody got enough to work with. Great. And we told them they had 5 minutes to discuss. We'll see how the populating of the green Post-its is doing at 7:32.
32, so 3 minutes from now. Yeah. And did you send a note to that effect?
I did.
Okay, cool.
Oh, reminding them how much time, that's smart, Pete. Reminding them how much time they have to talk. Yes.
I was thinking that they were starting to transition to green sticky notes, but either way.
I sent that note. And I'll let them know. I'll let them know that they have a few more minutes of group conversation. But the green sticky note part actually is so hard because it's hard to do quickly, I should say. Because people get into it. It's exciting.
Right.
Okay, nice.
And look at that. Okay, Michael is starting to type in group 1, the first green note.
Excellent.
Mark is typing a note for group 2. And Jay and group 3 are still talking about it. Okay. This is pretty interesting. So you and I, as hosts and co-hosts, we're the ones who can, well, anybody can do what we're doing in the Zoom deck, and we're able to, the only other feature is being able to control the Zoom room, the breakout rooms, basically, and send the broadcast messages. And I assume any co-host can do that.
You are right.
Okay. And I see Lisa joining us. Awesome.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, sorry, it often switches my audio to my other monitor that doesn't have speakers.
Got it. How are you
Okay.
doing?
Busy. 30 districts I'm worrying about, so.
Yeah, okay. So we are, it looks like nobody's at this meeting but the three of us, but actually we have about 15 people in breakout rooms
Excellent.
doing things. They're they're ready to start wrapping up, but if you'd like, you can jump in and, listen in or engage in the last bit of breakout room stuff. It's similar to what we did. I think you might have been on the pilot session when we did this 2 or 3 months ago, right?
I think Lisa was.
Are any of them right now? What my mind is running through is I'm planning a whole bunch of presentations this summer and early fall. Are any of them talking about getting involved with outside entities and presenting and educating and trying to start up collaborations?
Probably all three of them. That's kind of
Okay.
the core of what we're doing here. And what I think I might do is nominate you to join Mark Friedman's group. Let's see. Do you know Laura Iyer in Georgia or John Beckerly in South Carolina?
Yes, both
They're
of
in
them.
2 different groups. I'll send you to one of those groups. You take your pick.
Let's try Laura.
All right.
I had
Here
interesting
you go.
conversation with her at the Southeast Conference.
And let's see. So I want to move you to group 2, and we will see you soon.
Okay,
Take
thanks.
care.
Lisa. Oh, oops.
And I think you should have some kind of a button from Zoom now saying, inviting you to go to that room. Poof. Okay. And we're now past our 7:32 time.
We are. We'll tell them. Because we've got someone still working on 2 and on 3. 1 more minute.
Perfect. And then in 1 minute, you'll click the close breakout rooms button, which gives them another 60-second warning.
Exactly. I think it gives them 30 seconds. I get it probably depends on your preset, Pete, what you
Gotcha.
want Zoom to do.
Gotcha.
Okay. So this is great. We have some great stuff in here. The use of the word roadmap must be something that you all share.
I don't know. Maybe it just sounds like it's action oriented. Okay, and you're copying the green sticky notes and pasting onto slide 18. Is that you?
That's right. That's right.
You are the bomb.
This is the part that I struggle with because it is easy to make several copies accidentally, and then the whole group is confused. But I think,
Especially since they're dynamically changing on the front end.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Let's see, like I did that, I got that one wrong. No, we have, okay, let's call them back.
Okay.
You're right, Pete, 60 seconds. But this is, our timing's good. We did pretty well. Coming back at 7:35 for the rest of this is pretty good.
Yeah, and we would have been a little faster except for our 2 late comers.
Right. You were very welcoming to them. That's wonderful.
I much prefer yelling at people, but I broke my trend.
Yeah, I just got into, they were trying trying to format the Google stuff, so
I warned you it was going to be late, but yeah,
Welcome back, y'all.
yes.
There we go. All righty, we're drifting back in with the tide, with the Zoom tide. That's wonderful. Okay,
So we enjoyed ourselves.
good, Jay. I'm so glad that y'all really were on point. Thank you so much. That was a lot of instruction, and then you had to do a lot of thinking and distilling all on a quick clock. So thank you each for just being game.
Do you have candy for a reward for us then?
Right? Isn't that the worst thing about digital? That's the worst. Is I would have candy, wouldn't I, Jay?
The AI folks are working on that.
Oh, well, the problem is she has candy, but I can't have it. She keeps taking it away from me because I keep talking when I'm not supposed to. So it's a
I do
behavior
that.
tool too.
Jay's right. I do tie candy to how many times you've spoken. That's true. If y'all take a look at
All right.
slide 18, welcome. I'm so glad to see that. So some folks I know kind of were dropped into the middle of this process, and don't worry, we'll get our thoughts all together and make at least a little sense of it for folks, regardless of when you came in. If you'll join me on slide 18, I can show you that slide if that's helpful. And I'm going to talk about it for just a second. Please don't make fun of my tabs. Pete already made fun of my tabs. Rightfully, really. And you can see, I hope, slide 18. And these are our buckets, and they're just designated by cute pictures. So you'll say, I'm going to ask you all, do you see a couple of ideas with a similar action, or a couple of ideas with the same intent? And you might say, yes, I do. And then you'll say, okay, for now, Ruthie, why don't you pop those under the puppies? And then we'll start to see what kind of themes are arising. So I'm going to toss that question out now. Does anybody see any ideas that seem to have a similar intent?
So row 1, slide 1, and row 2, slide 2 are both about schools.
Schools.
Moving the schools.
Okay. So let's see. Was that Larry?
Yes.
Larry, so you are looking, if you're on slide 18, are you looking at the green post-it that says engage through schools and churches?
Actually, that's an additional slide that mentions schools. So
Okay.
there's 3 slides that mention schools.
Great. We're looking at just the post-it notes on 18 because I took the post-it notes off your slides. So
I'm
that
looking at 18.
You're looking at slide 18.
Row 1, slide 1 and 2. Row 2, slide 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're referring to, okay. I think you're designating the rows according to where you see the notes on slide 18. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So we're looking at the ones about schools, and we can pop those under puppies.
The one right below that one is to create task force, and then the one below that to the right has school district establish PP policy.
Great. Perfect. Perfect.
3.
That was perfect. So thank you, Larry. Thank you for kicking us off. That's perfect.
There's
Anybody
one more. There's a task force for school electrification.
Okay.
Oh yeah, right under bucket 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got school related stuff for now under puppies. Does anybody see a very different pair or trio? A different pair or trio with a different similar intent?
Working with the county, muni, utilizing public forums to educate it would seem that there may be a few others that have to do with working with local agencies or local electeds. Like there's Work City Council Committee under bucket 5,
Okay,
second one down.
okay. Okay. So maybe we'll pop those under the tree for now. We've got, and we're holding on to this idea of working with local electeds. Does that seem right?
Yes.
Okay,
Electeds and administrators, I suppose.
great, great. Do we see a different pair or trio? And then y'all, in the real process, what helps is that your facilitator in the group will read all the cards, and you will read them in cluster so you can think about them and ask questions about them. You just have more time to marinate on the ideas. You read them all out loud and you kind of have some dialogue about them. We don't have time for that, but that is what, when you are in the real process, you do some of that work.
There's one on
There's a
job
couple of
training,
public- Oops, sorry.
There was one on jobs.
one on job training and commercial communities engagement and resource development. Those seem to go together.
Okay, beautiful. Jay's helping me, aren't you, Jay?
I am.
Thank you. And then we don't need our instructions right now. And then we have climate action plan and working with utilities.
Yeah, there are a couple utilities one.
Yeah, I thought there were 2. I don't know where it went though.
Trying to-
You've got a duplicate. Utilize public forums to educate public. Somehow that got duplicated.
Well, I think it's actually 2 different ones that got carried forward saying the same thing.
Well,
Because one has a large E and the other one has a small E.
Oh.
Boy, incredibly
Oh, well, that makes it different.
precise wording.
I think it was my fault. I was working in group 1 slide by accident when we were consolidating. So
Michael, oh no.
I copied them to group 3 slide. I might have left one in there.
There's a duplicate in bucket 1 too.
You're gonna have to dock your pay, Michael.
I know
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Oh, there, yeah.
0 to 0 is a good number.
Okay. We'll get, and let's make sure this is my facilitator test. Did I get all of your
Bucket 4.
all of your green stickies? Because I did it before you were done.
There is one in group 1 called that maybe didn't get picked up, and that was climate action plan working with utilities. Maybe that was
yes,
the one.
I think I copied that one in.
I saw that.
So we-
Okay,
Right there. That's right there under 5.
there, I see it. Yeah.
So now our 2 that are unassigned are commercial communities. Oh, we did that one. We did that one.
Yeah, that's a duplicate too.
Duplicate. You kill that one.
Let's see. Okay, and now does anybody feel like they have a green sticky that is not represented here? I think we got them.
I think the one that crosses over a little bit is climate action plan and working with utilities, because one would be probably underneath the create a roadmap, and then the other one would be part of commercial community. So it's maybe a hybrid between the 2, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's kinda
What happened to the
connected together.
faith one? Faith leaders? Talk to faith leaders? I don't see it on the big slide.
Talk to
Yeah.
faith leaders. is
Bucket
here.
3, first slide.
Yeah,
Bucket 3. Oh, there it is.
so now y'all have the interesting, this is great that we get to mock this up. Y'all have the interesting dilemma of having one remaining sticky. So is it its own bucket? Or can you see ways in which climate action plan and working with utilities does in fact belong in sunset, flowers, trees, or puppies?
I think it's trees.
Yeah, I would vote for, bucket number 2 for that one.
And then one that didn't get put in is chambers. I think they're a special group.
Oh, yeah, where'd that go? Yeah.
I'm not sure we put that one in the green yet, but we talked about it in group 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't make it to your group 1, but you can always, this is a
Oh, there's partner with chambers. There is.
y'all
It's in
can
group
always
3.
say-
If this is like The Voice, I would vote for saving that one.
Good, 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 good. Well, we shouldn't have had to say, but I should have had it. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, I think what they're saying is that the group members, the breakout session members, didn't move it from blue to green.
No, but they did. It's here. It's in green. Partner with
Oh.
Chambers of Commerce and other glass talks.
Other grants.
I feel like,
That might be a separate bucket.
yeah, Chambers of Commerce is about business.
Right.
I feel like municipal boards need a bucket, city council or whatever.
Okay,
Well,
Governing
isn't that
boards
bucket two though?
Yeah.
great.
I guess it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
we got city council.
Yeah.
So then, y'all, this is the trick where you discern whether or not, do you think that bucket 2 is too big? Is working with electeds or bodies like that, is that too big a bucket? And you want to make a distinction through making a new group? Is working with Chambers of Commerce really pretty fundamentally different than creating a roadmap with your county or municipality?
I think so.
I think it is. Yeah.
Funding is very different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very different. But I would guess that maybe under bucket 3, flowers, the third one down. No, never mind. Oh, to the right, bucket 4, commercial communities engagement. Commercial sounds a lot like Chambers of Commerce to me, and
I
maybe
agree. I think that one belongs in.
it's in
I
bucket
think that
5.
goes in bucket 5.
Okay, and then what? Now we have a lonely job training program in bucket 4. Do we think it belongs somewhere else? Is it part of one of these bigger buckets about engagement?
It's pretty unique. It sort of depends on there being a need for workers, which I think may well be true.
Well,
On the other hand, if you need
hard
workers,
to really-
you need them to work in businesses, so maybe it's part of bucket 5.
well, the other part
Yeah.
with job training, workforce development, it's also you're building those skills in schools back into the technical schools that then become opportunities for business development. So it could be, some of it could go back to education. Some of it could go toward
That's a good
working with the
point.
chamber, so there's many places that could go.
Yeah.
I think bucket 3, tag 1 is possibly a bucket 5 item.
Oh, talking to faith leaders and getting them to electrify is possibly a bucket 5 item in with
No.
Chambers of Commerce and no?
No,
I would disagree because their ability to do it is
So
very different, I would say. They can apply for the nonprofit funds. I guess
So-
it depends
Their
on if
their
we're just
goals
talking
are
about
very-
convincing them.
Their
their
audience
goals
is
are very
different.
different as well.
Faith
Right.
leaders are in a unique position. For one thing, they could tie it into their faith, which could be a message that sells, and they'd have to discuss it widely in congregations, which is a good thing. Get people talking about it.
So that was my point. When I looked at this, not so much the churches just electrifying on their own. I looked at it as the churches have a chance to influence their congregations around electrification for advocacy. That's the way I was. So I looked at it as a public or community engagement tool.
I like the
That's
public forum
That's a
piece
good
of
way
that.
too. Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
And I think that is a little different than the businesses and Chamber of Commerce. Some would argue that maybe the Catholic Church or others are among the biggest businesses the world has ever known, but separate conversation.
So one thing, the tag under flowers, utilize public forums to educate public. I think Ruth, you grabbed that, but then we really fine tune that to say utilize real life regional examples to educate public. We had a discussion about, not just showing generic information, but using examples from surrounding areas, the next door county or what have you.
So is that a green Post-it note that we should have, or is that a
I think
plus-
if you just added utilize real life regional examples to educate public instead of utilize public forums to educate
Oh,
public.
okay.
And the other one under the bucket 2, the first box and the third box, they are the same. on the tree, yeah?
To create a roadmap, because it,
Yeah, the first and third box, they are same.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we
Yeah,
can.
one says creating and one says create, but otherwise they're the
All
same.
right, so I'm gonna
Mhm.
make a move and see if you guys agree with this. Because job training with climate action plans, working with utilities kind of fit in as working with utilities and you know, vendors and contractors against a climate action plan that could incentivize that. That was just a small tweak. And then working with elected leaders would be the roadmap, and then working with city councils was kind of maybe a different thought I had. I don't know if everyone would agree
Yeah,
with it or
I
not.
struggled with the one that says climate action plan and working with utilities, because in my preconceived perspective, the climate action plan is something that's developed primarily by elected officials, and working
Yes.
with utilities is different. On the other hand, if the climate action plan has executable action items for utilities, then yes, you work with them on implementing.
And I think the public utilities, it really depends on the region, the state, whatever, because, you know, my own experience is that our public utility is regulated by the state for the entire state. And, you know, supplies like 90% of the power. So, you know, they could be tied together. It really just depends on, you know, the setup between a government and the utility.
And Lynn,
utilities
even in this,
regulated by, go ahead.
even in the state I live in, we've got a primary regulated investor utility, but we also have municipal utilities, and we also have co-ops. So
Right. Same
but
here.
but they're all different because some of them offer different incentives. So, you know, ultimately, even a local climate action plan, if you're not doing some work with the utilities, particularly around some of the incentives, I think that's what we're trying to get at when we wrote that. It's kind of the implementation of, you got to coordinate and work with the utilities on a climate action plan. I think was the conversation I recall we had in group one.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So y'all, this is great. I think one thing we see is that there are some ideas that have two basically needed to be split apart or pulled apart a little. Like I would say we ended up with engage through schools and churches and anchor institutions. Those are three ideas: engage schools, engage churches, engage anchor institutions, right? On three different cards. So it's really hard, especially when you have an energized group, you get a bunch of really compressed cards. So that's one piece of it, right? That would make some of our clustering easier, is these less compressed cards. But the best part is that you all are talking through the cards and figuring out the actual clustered activities are, right? Because you're sorting out, well, what is the role of utilities when we're thinking about a comprehensive climate action plan? That's where you want your group to be in the ideas. And then you want them to be able to take a step back and create some organization across them. So in the real thing, I would never name your buckets like this. That's not the facilitator's job. You all would name your buckets, and you would create names by finishing the sentence. How can we create action in our communities that leads to building electrification? By engaging schools, working with elected officials, creating public engagement plans. Bucket 4, by partnering with businesses and chambers of commerce. And maybe bucket 4 is something like by creating comprehensive climate action plans that embrace electrification, right? Or in part with utilities. You actually want your cluster names to be broader than that. But what you are doing is, again, working through what kinds of ideas folks see as sharing intent, and then being able to do some work together on those ideas. And it may be that from this place, and often this is what we do, we would use a built out slide like this to do action planning together. So it would become clear from, for example, the exchange that y'all were having, that there was real interest in, 3 of you working on partnering with business. in the action planning session, you would plot out a bunch of actions associated with, on a timeline, working with businesses and chambers of commerce, right? So you take, you create consensus through this clustering process, because you do get to what you all as a group feel is essential to your strategies moving forward. And then you have something like a roadmap. You have something like a way of beginning to carry action together that is more organized than sort of, oh, you know, Jay really seems to like engaging K-12. You know, could it maybe Jay and maybe Lynn would go engage K-12, right? You want to take out the arbitrariness that can be divisive, or it can make people feel like they're not being heard, and really cultivate a process where the ideas are all honored because you are to them and you are synthesizing them. What do you all think? I don't want to leave bucket 4 as bucket 4. That feels incomplete to me. What do we feel about bucket 4?
Encourage job training.
Okay, beautiful. And ideally you have, in this case, we happen to have 5 pretty different buckets that you actually do, the group feels do have meaningful distinctions among them. What do y'all think? Questions about this process? What was interesting and productive, and what was confusing and unhelpful?
Yeah.
My question is, what do you do with 5 buckets? My group is too small to do 5 things. Where do you go from here?
Yeah, great. So if you do have 5 buckets and you only have a group that can embrace 1 bucket, then together your group does some action planning around the bucket that you want to pursue first, right? You take for granted that you can't do 5 buckets at once. So together you figure out, okay, we feel the most urgency around, or we have the best resources right now around engaging schools. That's going to be the bucket that we action plan together. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Hey, Pete.
And
Yeah.
Sylvia, and real quick, Jay, Sylvia, this action team faced that exact challenge. We had several ideas and we had to pick one, and we chose this community engagement and coalition building. So it happens in the real world. I raised my hand actually because I wanted to point out that we're 1 minute away from the top of the hour and having to wrap things up. Jay, was that what you wanted to poke at me?
I was just gonna allow you. I knew you had your hand raised. I was just trying to, say, hey, you got the deck.
All right. So yeah, anyway, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, Pete, one final comment just to close out that last thing. Keep in mind that you may focus on your small group on one, but if you have 5 different things and everything that you think are important to do, once you have it done, if you work with other organizations or other folks join the group, then you can engage in that conversation with them. So it doesn't have to be just for the things you're going to immediately work on, but it could also be used as some outreach tools to work with others as well.
That's
Very
right.
nice.
And that last green box that says documentation is super important. So if you do it in a deck like this, everybody always has it, right? You all can always come back to this deck. But that's a big piece of the puzzle, is documenting what you've done together so that you can continue to share it and refine it if you want to. And y'all, I'm so sorry, we did come right up on the time, but I did want to say, Pete has my contact information. And I would be so delighted to work with any of your groups on a process like this, or we can massage it so that it seems to suit you better. But I would love to work with the chapter or the small group you're working with if this kind of process feels like it could be productive for you.
And
Thanks.
Ruthie's an expert, so she offered, so take her up on it. She's looking to be exercised.
Ruthie, great job. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And you guys can find me at the email address that I'm popping into the chat, okay? I really hope I hear from you, and I'm really grateful that you were willing to spend some time with me tonight. Thank you, Pete, for the airtime. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you for the skill and execution.
Thanks, Ruthie.
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
Take care.
See you
everyone.
next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.